All right, so now we're going to go over the numbered cards meaning in the sword suit, and we're going to do some storytelling. So firstly, the sword suit involves thoughts, communication, thinking, mental stuff, and conflicts. So we're going to tell the story about an aspiring writer who wrote a novel and is trying to get the book published. All right, so the Ace of Swords is the writer who all of a sudden had an idea to write a book. And actually they finished it. So the Two of Swords represents indecision. Do I self-publish or do I go to a traditional publisher? So that's a real don't know what to do. Got to weigh the pros and cons. All right, so they make the decision and end up, applying or sending their book to a traditional publisher, but they get rejected. They're heartbroken. Three of Swords. So the writer needs to take a break from it because they're just so devastated and they just need to rest. So that's the Four of Swords, rest up. And then what happens is that they send the book to somebody or send the novel to somebody like a friend, just wanted to, because the friend wanted to see it. And then the friend said, "That's a terrible novel." And then they get into a big fight about it. That's the Five of Swords. And then the writer, says, maybe this just isn't meant to be. Maybe I should just move on. So that's the Six of Swords. But then they think that they're tricking themselves into thinking that they're a bad writer. And you know what? They're thinking maybe there's another way to get the publishers to accept them. Maybe they're going to steal some tactics from other writers and seeing what they did in order to apply to more publishers. So that's the Seven of Swords when they're thinking about doing some problem solving there. But then they all of a sudden think that they're just not going to be able to make the cut because they're not good writers. They're not good enough. That's the Eight of Swords talking. Okay. But then they end up sending it to different publishers and they're kept up all night because they're so worried whether or not they're going to make the cut. That's Nine of Swords. But then all of a sudden they get rejected. That's it. They're done. They're just going to have to maybe do it themselves. So that's the Ten of Swords. Maybe self-publication.